we go, the 79th country, Tajikistan. So I flew from China via Kazakhstan to Tajikistan. So I had a layover in Almaty for one night, and before I started this journey, I was praying I don't wish to stay overnight in the airport in Almaty. So luckily, a gentleman sat next to me on the airplane, just accommodate me in Almaty, because he was a Chinese who worked in Kazakhstan with a Chinese company. So they have a place offer them to stay, because that gentleman is continue the next day to another part of Kazakhstan. So he also needed to go to the airport. So they offered me to stay, and the next day they offered me the transport to the airport. So I was very lucky. And after I landed, there was no other public transport. I knew how to get to me to my host place. So I took a taxi, and the taxi driver seems like a good person. He took me to where to exchange money, and after that to drop to me at my host place. So my first host in Dushanbe, named Mohammed, he was a teenager. He lived in Dushanbe with his family. There were like 6 of them in his family, and then they run a guest house. But they offered me a house by their own, other than the guest house room. So I slept on the floor in an empty room, and then I was super excited on the first day of arrival. I got used to for every country I visit, if everything goes smoothly, I was always very hyper. So in return, to thank them for hosting me, I cooked them, several meals, several Chinese food, and they really enjoy it. So before I start to do any sightseeing in Tajikistan, the first thing I needed to apply visas for my ongoing journey, including Uzbekistan visa and Turkmenistan visa. So the Uzbekistan visa, I went with my host, Mohammed, and then we met another local named Islam in the Uzbekistan embassy, and after that we grabbed some food together. And then we exchanged contact with Islam. Islam was a local who stayed in Poland. And then after that, he invited me to visit him on the later time during my stay in Tajikistan. And for the Turkmenistan visa, it's a little bit challenge, because Turkmenistan is so-called the North Korea of Central Asia. So I was, very seriously about the visa, and I just follow all the requirements. And even when I was in the Turkmenistan embassy, I was like a very decent, if the ambassador never asked me to sit, I never sit, and I stand very straight, because I was being told, even for the man, if you're going to apply the visa, you have to shave, and then, being very decent. So I just show you my 100% of respect. So the visa is only for transit, so I have to mention the entry point and exit point. So for the exit point, I have to have my ongoing visa after Turkmenistan. So I applied an e-visa for Azerbaijan. So while I was doing my payment for my e-visa, I encountered some difficulties too. So I invited another guest from my host guest house place and to help me, and then he just helped me get the visa, but I was overcharged because he just went to some randomly online service. So anyway, I just learned a lesson. The next time I have to handle the visa by myself. Anyway, so it was during Nowruz holiday, so I was being told I can only get my visas after the holiday. So I just followed the arrangement. So after Dushanbe, I made my way to Hujan, and my first house in Hujan named Alicia. And he came to pick me up, and then directly we went to bazaar and did some shopping for that nice gathering with his classmates. They have like monthly gathering, eating osh together, but they were all men together because usually, women were separately. But I'm a traveler, so I was allowed to join them. So just like hang out with them, being a good listener, and then had osh, and then we couldn't finish, so everyone got some packed away. That's very good, you don't waste food. So Alicia offered me a empty floor to stay because their family lived in another floor of the building. So the next day, Alicia's classmate, who used to exchange in China and speak some Chinese, and together with his cousin showed me around, and they took me to a park, and then I had my very first photo with the Lenin statue. And during that night we had like the Tajikistan lamb barbecue together with the white vinegar. It was so delicious. And after staying with Alicia for like on the third day, I just got to meet their family. He lives with his parents and his beautiful wife and his younger sister and 2 sons. So Alicia was quite busy during the work day. So during his day off, I wished he spent more time with his family. So that's what I told him. And then he also asked his younger sister to show me around during his day off. So his younger sister first took me to his wife's younger sister's place. I got to meet his wife's sister because his wife is already very beautiful. They are original Uzbek ethnic. And then until I met his younger sister, that was the most beautiful lady I met in Tajikistan. And after that, we went to Alicia's auntie's place. You just arrived at that place, and then you were being treated by snacks, by fruit, by naan, the typically Central Asia bread, and honey and different things. And then that night we had the traditional osh, and then they showed me the traditional way, they eating with their hands. So they demonstrated, and I tried, and then they were laughing at my posture. And after that, I moved to another house. They were twin brothers who lived in the countryside of Fujian with their grandma. So they were like doing farming during my visit. So Hussein and Hassan, and they were a very nice person, and I enjoyed my stay with them. So they offered me a living room to sleep on the floor. Notice that I'm very scared about cold. They offered me so many blankets. Yeah, they've got so many blankets at home. And then I cooked for them, and then during my time was the Nowruz Day, so we went out to see the celebration of the Nowruz performance. So Hussein and Hassan told me they used to be very shy, so in order to overcome their shyness, they just joined some dancing, and then they showed me the dancing video. I was laughing. It was so funny. And after that, I moved to another house for one night, but I still feel more comfortable to stay with the twins, so I moved back to them. So together I stayed with them for like 1 week, and then I said goodbye with them with my tears because they were really beautiful people. And then they told me in Fujian, and the girls don't do their eyebrow before they get married. And I noticed like when they meet their father, they do handshakes. So that's no wonder Tajikistan is famous for its hospitality and great manner. After that, I returned back to Dushanbe, stayed 1 night, and the next day I collected my visas and then made my way to Islam's place, which was near the border between Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. So I boarded on the bus to Islam's place, but the bus waited so long, so I have to go to the bathroom. So I left the bus with my luggage, and when I returned, the bus left me behind. That was the last bus on that day, so I had no option. I have to hitchhike. So luckily I crossed up. The gentleman sat next to the driver, asked me if I'm Chinese. I said yes. Okay, they were very willing to offer me a lift because that gentleman used to do business in China. They had a very good perception about China.